Hello again, everybody. Just thought I'd do an update on all of my colonies. I'm still getting comments. Thank you for people who make comments. I do read them all. I had one a couple of days ago say, don't stop making updates. So, anyway, the new colony, which will become my new main colony, if you remember, if you watch my video where I put them into the outworld and I separated the end of their tube by putting a little bit of silicone drinking straw in. I said at the time, I said, oh, if that's too big for them, they can always fill it up with sand, knowing full well that's highly likely what they were going to do. I do find now I can pretty much predict Lasius niger behaviour to any situation I put them in, and the size of the colony. I just know what they're going to do. And sure enough, yes, they have filled sand in the tube, and they've built a ramp. Again, previous videos I've talked about Lasius niger building ramps because they don't like going up slopes when they're on their day-to-day travels. They don't mind walking up the walls of the outworld, but ask them to go up a small little overhang or something on their daily trunk routes, and no. But anyway, yeah, you've been watching. For some reason, she goes all the way to the back of the outworld and gets sand from the pile right at the back and brings it back to put in the entrance. But I was filming her for about 5-10 minutes, watching her move sand back and forth. And yes, I've been spoiling them. A lot of people have said that they're doing very well, or for a new colony, and yes, they are. So I don't know if you remember back when they were still just the queen with brood in the test tube. I was sort of counting the larvae at the time. She hadn't even got to pupa at that stage, and I said, oh, there's a lot of larvae in here. This queen's going to do very well. So I knew she was doing well. But compare and contrast if you sort of want. Yeah, she's got 18 workers, this new main colony. The other queen that I caught a few days behind her, yes, she's not as big. No, she's not doing as well. But I don't want anyone whose queen isn't up to my queen sort of levels to worry, because here's the other queen. She's got 12, and she's doing fine. Everything's going okay. There's no issues there, but she's smaller and she's further behind. But yeah, back to the new main colony. Not only has she had 18 workers with her very first lot of brood, which is quite high for a Lasius niger colony. You normally get between about 8 to 14, 15, I would say, is the average amount. Getting 18 like this is rare, but it does happen. Especially I've noticed it with early queens. I love catching early queens in June because it just gives you more summer in this first year to feed more, which is what I've been doing, as you've been watching them trying to drag this little insect in and making a mess of it. This was their 5th insect that they've had now, since nothing very big. You see their tiny little insects. You can see the trouble they were having getting it down their slope. Yeah, so what's happening is that they're feeding the larvae, and the new larvae have turned to pupa, and I counted as best I could today, and I think there's about 12 pupa in there. So I say 20 days for eggs, 10 days for larvae, 20 days for pupa. That's the best way to think about timings. So 50 days total. I know they can go a bit quicker than that if it's warm, but it's getting a bit cooler now. We're in September, so probably looking at about 3 more weeks, although one of those pupa in the middle is quite brown, so maybe we'll have one new ant in a couple of weeks' time, but then there's going to be another 12, so we'll be up to 30 before the end of September. And I was predicting I can get to 40 or 50 by the end of the year. I'm still feeding them. I should be able to chunk another 10 to 20 out before the end of the year. So yeah, we'll see how we go, but it's going to be quite a nice colony by the time we get to hibernation. And again, back here now to the other colony that I caught. No, she hasn't got as much. And yes, she's definitely behind. Like I said, 12 workers. But even I mean, she's had a couple of insects as well and feeds. Not as many insects. I'm not spoiling her as much. But she has had some stuff, some food. And she's got, what, 4 or 5 pupa again. So she could get up to maybe 25, 30 by hibernation. And listen, if this is your first time keeping ants, it makes no real difference. By the end of next year, you'll be on 700. You know, whether or not you go into or come out of hibernation on 30 or 50 is going to be negligible towards your numbers by the end of next year. So don't worry about it. Finally, the Flavus are doing as per normal. There's nothing really to show you in the Flavus setup that's any different to when I did my tour of the setup. Strange thing they do, they seem to love to do this. They have little clumps of different brood all over the place. I noticed when the Lasius niger, when I had the big colony before they died out, they used to keep everything quite grouped together. All the larvae would be together in maybe 2 or 3 chambers. All the pupa would be together in a different 2 or 3 chambers, and often the queen would be in a chamber with just the queen and eggs, and it was all very organised like that. But these girls just seem to have bits and pieces everywhere. But anyway, they're doing well. That's just a update on how everybody's doing, how all the colonies are doing. Thank you very much. Until next time, goodbye.